In a year where we've had many video game adaptations, whether it be film or TV, we now have a new one with Five Nights at Freddy's. I myself have only played the first game, so some of the references and the Easter eggs would have gone over my head. But even if you've never played any of the games and it's your first experience of this world, you can still go in and enjoy the film potentially, or not enjoy the film like I did. If the poster itself doesn't give it away, this is in fact a horror film where we have a security guard working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, and while spending his first night on the job, he realises that working at this job will not be plain sailing. So like with any horror film, does it meet the criteria of being scary? No, not really. I think there's one decent scare in the whole film, which involves a slow close-up to Freddy's mouth. Other than that, there's really not a lot going here. I think films like Harry Potter and even Teletubbies are scarier than this. Now, before the film's release, there was a lot of news about whether this will be a suitable film for kids or not. Now, the film in the UK is rated at 15 and overseas it's PG-13. So a lot of young people will be able to watch this, which is great because obviously these games have a very young fan base. Now, when I was about that sort of age, I saw many horror films before that, and I think for a lot of people this will be quite a tame horror film, though it's for the fans of the game. So you're going to get a lot of things where it's actually seeing their characters they love from the games on the big screen will be that big joy, like we saw with the Mario film, for example, which I really liked that only because of those constant nostalgia shots in my arm as I was watching it. I knew it wasn't a great film as a family film, as a animated film. It was quite basic, but I enjoyed it for that reason as a fan. In terms of it being faithful to the game, I think it really is when it comes to the appearance, like the pizzeria with the arcade and the ball pit and everything, that all looks fantastic. And the animatronics for the animal characters, they were really cool as well. Like Jim Henson's Creature Shop was working on this, and I think it was a great idea to go practical over CGI here. When it comes to the acting, there are some good actors in this film, and it's great to see Josh Hutcherson again, but I tell you what, none of them are helped at all by the script, because there are some awful lines in this film. The dialogue is terrible. Even towards the end of the film, there's a big confrontation between two characters, where one character is saying the one thing they're going to do to them, and the response from the other character is, that's two things. It's really shitty dialogue like that, where it's supposed to be like the big climax moment, and it's just, it really has a bad tone imbalance, because at times you're like, okay, that makes sense within this film. Some of the characters' actions, it's having fun with it. Whereas at other times, it's a really serious film. So the tone of the film really hasn't been found properly. The film's runtime is about 1 hour and 50 minutes, which I think is about 20 minutes too long, and it really felt like a long film while I was in there. Like I felt like I was in there for over 2 hours. And I think a lot of that's down to the story being pretty uninspiring. It seems to go around in circles a few times, gets a bit stuck here and there. And our main character Mike, who's played by Josh Hutcherson, he goes on a lot about how his brother was taken, but at one point he leaves his sister on her own in the house. So I'm like, surely if you got that sort of worry about kids being taken away, why the hell would you leave them on their own?
Not a great plan.
This film is produced by Blumhouse, and they have a very interesting track record, with some films being pretty good and some being pretty crap. And earlier this year they had the film Megan come out, and there is a little bit of that in this film as well, with the sister character and her relationship with these robots. As I said earlier, this film will be suitable for certain younger audience members, and it's clear to see that with the death scenes, because they are very lightweight, because they're either cut away from the actual gore or they're off screen altogether. And it's quite annoying actually, because there are some ones which would like to see on screen because they'd be very satisfying to see. With many horror films, I and many others over-complain about the overuse of jump scares, but for Five Nights at Freddy's, it was built on that jump scare horror, and so it's a shame that so many of them were weak. But I understand that it is hard to replicate the games because, I've only played the first game, but as you can see on screen, I really enjoyed the intensity of that first game, and being able to be in that POV of the security guard, going through the cameras, making sure the power's not going out, all that sort of thing. It's that slow build up. You know the jump scare's coming, but you're just not sure exactly when it's going to come. And in this film, I think they really did struggle to find that focus. It really tried to be too many things at once. Like, it wanted to be a tense film and get those jump scares, but other times it wanted to be the full-on slasher film, and then at other times it just wanted to be a film where you could just pump in lots of lore from the games. And I think without that focus, it really then struggled to actually have an identity. And so I'm not sure if I'd ever want to watch this film again because it's such a mess. Like, to be honest, if I want to watch something involving a threatening animal robot, I might just watch Wallace and Gromit. I must also mention there are some revelations in the film revolving around Freddy, Bonnie, Chica and Foxy, and the characters who are learning this information react in such a way where it's like it's not a big deal because they're too laser focused on their main task in the film. The original creator of the game, Scott Cawthon, did work on this film, including the story, and I think there is some lore here which fans of the franchise will enjoy, but the film is just not good enough where I think for new people watching this film and getting introduced here, they'll want to go and play the games or want to see any other films from this series. Whether there'll be more films, we'll have to wait and see how the box office does, because the budget is $20 million, so it is quite a cheap film compared to many other films out there, and so I do think it will make money, but whether it makes enough. We are still at the early stages of this wave of video game films. We have games like Slime Rancher, Minecraft all coming out in the coming years, and the thing is with these games, they're great because they bring that established fan base on board, and also for merchandise, they are fantastic because you've got so many options, especially for those ones I mentioned, all those characters, there's already things out there, so it's easy for them to make money that way too. So for Five Nights at Freddy's, I think it is a bit more than just a full-on cash grab, but not by a lot. I think a lot of it is wasted potential. I think fans of the games will enjoy it much more than those who are not. But overall, it did become quite a slog to sit through, and I don't think it's worth that cinema trip. And in America, they're actually releasing this film on the Peacock streaming service the same day it enters cinemas. So that just goes to show how little faith they had in this film altogether. So yeah, as a big fan of video games, it is a shame to see this one turn out pretty crap, but of course that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy it more than me, or did you agree? Do you think it's pretty terrible? And if you want to watch another review, on screen is one which YouTube are recommending for you.